Hi, I'm Eamon Dolan, and I'm the author of The Power of Parting. This is a first-of-its-kind book that draws on my own experience as a survivor of family abuse who stepped away from his abuser, along with research, reportage, and the stories of dozens of other survivors who stepped away from their abusers. It tells a new and important truth about the phenomenon of estrangement. It isn't a tragedy. In fact, it's a solution to the rampant problem of family abuse in our society. A solution that can bring survivors freedom, peace, and even joy. I'm a survivor of family abuse. My mother beat me a lot when I was a kid, and she abused me emotionally. Insults, gaslighting, humiliation, into my 40s, until I told her I couldn't take it anymore. I said, "We're done," and I cut off all ties with her. Even though this was a difficult decision, it was one of the best decisions I ever made. I'm a book editor, so it's natural for me to look for a book whenever I'm in a challenging situation for advice and support. But I couldn't find one for this situation. Eventually, I decided to write that book myself, a book that fully embraces the idea of estranging from an abusive relative, a book that celebrates the heroism of survivors and helps us handle the pitfalls along the way. There are many myths surrounding estrangement, but the two most common and dangerous are that it's rare and it's wrong. Recent research shows that up to 1/2 of all Americans are estranged from a family member. So it's hardly rare, and it's rarely wrong. In fact, the most common cause of estrangement is family abuse. And it's never wrong to put whatever distance we need between ourselves and people who keep hurting us, even our family. The first question someone should ask themselves if they're considering estrangement is, would I let a friend treat me the way my relative does? When I asked myself that question, I realized that I wouldn't let a friend treat me for 1 week the way my mother had treated me for over 40 years. The next question to ask is, what rules should I set for my relative? Think about what they would have to stop saying or doing for their behavior to match the standards you and your friends expect from each other. If you make those rules for your abuser and they can't follow them, then it is likely best for you to step away from them, either partly or completely. For anyone who's dealing with a toxic relative, estrangement can be the best form of self-care, and it should definitely be the first. We can only begin to get some perspective on our situation once we step away from our abusers. We've been putting their needs and whims before our needs for our whole lives, and stepping away will be the first opportunity we've ever had to focus on our own needs and desires and hopes. That's a very difficult thing for us to do, which is why I devote an entire chapter of The Power of Parting to the topic of estrangement as self-care. To someone who is anti-estrangement, I would say, mind your own business and stop blaming the victim. Instead of asking survivors why we're stepping away, or why we can't forgive, or why we don't remember that blood is thicker than water, people should be asking our relatives why they did what they did, why they don't apologize, why they don't make amends. One of the things I love about the moment that we're in right now is that more and more people are finally pushing back against the blood is thicker than water myth that has dominated our society for centuries. I want The Power of Parting to add strength to that pushback. Something I want people to take away from The Power of Parting is the fact that stepping away from abusive relatives isn't a tragedy. It is hard, but it can also be joyful. 80% of survivors who estranged say that they felt better as a result, happier, more resilient, stronger. One survivor said, "It saved my life." I feel exactly the same way.